Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Tonight, state of emergency in BC as wildfires and smoke creep across Canada.
We're worried about our community. Is it burning? What's happening?
Why it's so hard to find firefighters. Also tonight, a woman's death might be Quebec's 14th femicide this year.
It is truly mind-boggling, but it proves that things are not right.
The athletes are excited for Tokyo 2020. Why many Japanese citizens are worried.
I think our message is that we understand concerns.
And another billionaire blasts into space.
2, 1.
A thrill ride for him, but is there any benefit for the rest of us? This is The National. At midnight tonight Pacific time, British Columbia will enter a provincial state of emergency. With wildfires threatening some communities, it's an order many have been calling for. And when it comes to ferocious fires tonight, BC is not alone. In fact, there are so many burning right now, the air across much of the country looks like this. Hazy, smoky, hard to breathe for some people, and hard to see through. Today, air quality advisories or smog warnings were issued for parts of BC, Northwest Territories, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick. In BC's Okanagan Valley, hundreds of people were forced to get out fast when a wildfire sparked yesterday near the tourist destination of Osoyoos, then exploded in size. That's where Brady Strachan is tonight.
I'm standing here in Osoyoos, surrounded by cottages, and just behind me you can see the fire pushing up gray plumes of smoke. From here you can see it billowing up into the sky. Strong winds in tinder-dry forests have made easy conditions for this fire to grow and spread. Fire crews are attacking the fire from the air, with air tankers and helicopters dropping water on hot spots. The fire sparked on Monday afternoon and forced the evacuation of hundreds of homes.
Come on, baby.
Rod and Geraldine Foley say they had little time to pack up their belongings.
The guy came walking up the hill, he says, "You gotta go, now."
They loaded 8 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 parrots into their RV and left.
We're very fortunate that we have the motorhome. Otherwise, like 2 o'clock in the morning, where are you gonna go?
The fire is burning in BC's South Okanagan region between the towns of Oliver and Osoyoos. The region is a tourism hotspot. People from all over the province are here for their summer vacations. This family from Edmonton had only arrived at their campground a few days earlier when they got the notice to leave.
A friend of ours came and knocked on my door there and said, "It's time to go." So we started packing up.
Now they're camped on the side of the road, wondering if they'll be able to resume their vacation.
Well, it's not too good because you only have so many holidays, and then you're wasting it sitting here on the side of the street on a grassy spot here.
The fire is also threatening several wineries in the region, including the Burrowing Owl Winery.
We were so excited to see everybody again after the months of the pandemic. So it feels like a bit of a blow, but hopefully it won't last very long, and we'll be back doing our wine tastings and dinners and having guests stay with us soon.
The winery was hosting 24 guests when it was ordered to evacuate.
We're very fortunate we were able to relocate them up to a hotel in Penticton. So we were fortunate that when we had to wake them up at midnight that we had somewhere for them to go.
Evacuees here have been struggling to find places to stay. Emergency officials warn hotel rooms in the region are scarce, and they're asking people to stay with friends or relatives if they can. The forecast for the region is more hot and dry weather with little chance of rain. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Osoyoos, British Columbia.
Communities are also being evacuated in Manitoba and Ontario as more wildfires burn too close. Marina von Stackelberg spoke to some of the evacuees in Winnipeg today.
It's emotional. We're lost.
This is Kim Scott's home for now, a hotel in Winnipeg. She had to flee her community of Bloodvein First Nation as forest fires burn nearby.
We're worried about our community. Is it burning? What's happening?
4 Manitoba First Nations are being evacuated, 1,300 people and counting. Little Grand Rapids and Pongassi First Nations, 2 flying communities near the Ontario border, are fully evacuated. For now, Bloodvein and Barons River First Nations, located further west, are only sending those with health issues out.
Right at this point, we just want to focus on getting our people settled in the city, to try and make them as comfortable as they can.
The Red Cross is helping to arrange flights and accommodations.
We have people working, in the hotels, providing support as needed.
There are more than 270 wildfires burning in Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. On that side of the border, 2,500 people have had to leave their homes. Deer Lake and Poplar Hill First Nations are being fully evacuated.
For my son, he was panicking.
They're being flown to cities all over Ontario, including to Cornwall.
I talked to him, he understood, why we had to leave. But I told him, you'll be okay out there. The people are going to take care of us out there, I said, because we have to get away from here. I said, it's too smoky.
Crews are trying to fight the flames on both sides of the Ontario and Manitoba border. All of this comes as thick smoke continues to blow south. Winnipeg remains under a cloud of gray skies and an air quality warning.
We're always concerned when we have these long drought type periods because it makes fires that much harder to put out.
Manitoba officials today issued a travel ban for a portion of the province between Lake Winnipeg and the Ontario border. Anyone left behind has been told to be ready to leave on an hour's notice. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Winnipeg.
So the wildfire situation in Manitoba and Ontario, certainly troubling. And let's look at the rest of the country. The red shows where wildfires are burning out of control and, of course, spreading smoke. Things aren't much better south of the border. The western United States battling wildfires from Arizona to Washington state. But with so many burning, the resources needed to fight them are drying up. Greg Rasmussen looks at the impact that is having.
Out of control fires, forcing crews back, fueled by drought and extreme temperatures. In Canada, too, fires in need of action.
We can see one there.
Dead and dying trees, future fire hazards in a year where there's little help available.
I think this is the worst year with the most jurisdictions involved with heavy fire loads that I can remember.
Usually provinces can bring in extra help from regions where there's little fire activity, but this year requests are going unanswered.
You are at war essentially with these fires, and they just eat up resources.
3,200 firefighters are at work in BC, but they face 300 active fires. Parks Canada is one of the few agencies that have helped, loaning BC 23 fire experts.
This year, we're really having to prioritize different fires and different areas of fires to figure out what can we actually do something with, what do we have resources with, and what will we have to put off till a later date. And they're doing that at a national level, at a provincial level, and then again at a regional level.
The federal government is helping by sending BC up to 350 armed forces personnel. The only significant international aid so far from Mexico, which is sending 100 trained firefighters.
They are coming in on Saturday, and they will be going straight to the hot zones where they're needed.
Extremely dry conditions, out
This
here
wildfire expert has been warning provinces to prepare for extreme fire behavior driven by climate change.
We're finding now that the number of fires, the size of those fires and their behavior is exceeding the fire suppression capabilities of our current complement of staff.
All this in a season where one town, Lytton, has already been lost, and it's only the start of BC's traditional wildfire season. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, North Vancouver.
The city of Ottawa dealt with its own bout of extreme weather today as severe thunderstorms rolled through the capital region. High winds, rains, even hail pummeled the area, leading to downed trees and several power outages in the region. Some reports suggested funnel clouds were seen south of the city. No confirmation of tornadoes, but in some areas the damage was said to be significant.
So I got the frantic call at work from both of my kids saying Grandpa's boat is gone, Grandpa's dock is gone, and they didn't know where it was. Luckily nothing hit our structures that we live in, thank heavens, but it could have been a lot worse.
There have been no reports of serious injuries. Thunderstorm warnings are no longer in effect in the region. The death of a Montreal woman has police searching for her husband, and they believe it's a homicide. If they confirm that, she would be the 14th woman in Quebec who police suspect was killed by a partner this year. That's already more than all of last year. Sarah Levitt reports.
It's become an all too familiar scene in Quebec. A police perimeter, an ambulance ready, a woman already dead. In this case, a 32-year-old found in her apartment. The suspect, her husband.
Oh my God, it's happened again.
Today, a few blocks away from the crime scene, Melpa Camateros takes stock of what could be the 14th woman's death linked to intimate partner violence in Quebec so far this year.
It is truly mind-boggling, but it proves that things are not right. If young women are being killed by equally young men, there's something that, in terms of prevention, that's not happening.
In April, the Quebec government announced an investment of almost $220 million over 5 years, money meant to go directly to resources fighting domestic violence.
It's not enough, even if it was a huge step for the government to invest that much. But what we see is that, like, women are still killed.
The latest statistics show violence against women and girls is up right across Canada. 92 have been killed so far this year, more than all of 2019 or 2020.
Things aren't good and things don't seem to be getting better in any way that we want them to be getting better, except, perhaps awareness and having these conversations.
Researchers say the reasons behind the rise in violence are complex. They point to COVID-19 restrictions as one factor, further isolating women in vulnerable situations.
There are things that can be done at every level, municipal, provincial, and federal, that can help women and children and can stop them from being killed, because it is too much already. Let's stop the killing. Let's stop it.
Key to that, she says, is preventing violence before more lives are lost. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Across Canada, people are enjoying the easing of COVID restrictions. And for one celebration in particular, it comes just in time, the Muslim holiday of Eid.
Every Eid is a new chapter for us because it's a new beginning.
For the first time in the pandemic, thousands attended an Eid gathering in Toronto. While COVID numbers are down, officials urged more Canadians to get vaccinated.
Canadians are reminded that it is safe to receive one vaccine product for your first dose and a different vaccine product for your second dose.
Dr. Howard New, the Deputy Chief Public Health Officer, also noted that Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are interchangeable and to get the first one available for your first or second dose. In the United States, COVID-19 infections are on the rise. It is getting more serious, and the pattern is getting more obvious.
Nearly 2/3 of counties in the United States have vaccine coverage less than 40%.
And partly because of that, national daily new case counts have tripled in the past 2 weeks. Hospitalizations are up 50%.
We're seeing overwhelming numbers, and this surge is a lot faster.
It's like a deja vu of last year, and that was a nightmare.
It was just insane to go from having one COVID patient to having all COVID patients again.
About 95% of the patients are unvaccinated.
Did you get vaccinated?
No.
Why didn't you get vaccinated, ma'am?
I was scared.
Vaccinations are stalling while misinformation is rampant, though the administration's rollout did get a Republican boost today.
Get vaccinated. I want to encourage everybody to do that and to ignore all of these other voices that are giving demonstrably bad advice.
In other words, you don't need any vaccine.
But from Sean Hannity last night, this unusual aside.
And it absolutely makes sense for many Americans to get vaccinated. I believe in science. I believe in the science of vaccination.
Of course, it was amid an evening of coverage raising doubts about vaccines. Now let's turn to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, where the Athletes' Village has several reported cases of COVID-19, but IOC officials say protocols are working and the athletes themselves don't seem worried.
When I was in the village, there was no concern from any athletes that they raised with me. They all were just sharing the excitement that they had and how they wanted to just get on and start competing.
Japanese officials struck a much more cautious note today, with dozens of reported cases among athletes, officials, and Olympic staff. At a news conference, the top official surprisingly didn't rule out a last-minute cancellation. Tokyo remains under state of emergency as daily cases spike to their highest levels in 6 months. One big concern is that the Olympics could become a super spreader event. Briar Stewart gives us an inside look at what's being done to try to prevent that amid sagging Japanese support for the Games.
In the Olympic Village, thousands of athletes are living alongside each other. International camaraderie with plenty of protocols. And that includes keeping your distance. Turns out, even more than 2 meters in some cases.
I don't have concerns. I think everyone is tested. Everyone gets tested every day. Everyone is wearing their mask. You're eating separately.
Well, for many athletes, the thrill of competition may be far greater than any COVID concerns. The Japanese remain anxious, especially given that 2/3 don't have a single COVID shot, when infections are even popping up among those who've been fully vaccinated. 18-year-old Kara Eaker is an alternate with America's powerhouse gymnastics team. She's now in isolation after a positive COVID test. This month, just over 70 COVID cases have been connected to the Games.
I'm wondering what the IOC's message is to the Japanese public who is not happy that this event is proceeding.
Our message is that, we understand concerns. These are difficult times. But I think we'd like to reassure them again that everything is being done.
Officials point to the fact that only a few dozen COVID cases have been found among the 30,000 international visitors who've already arrived for the Games. But that's not likely to ease the fears over the virus spreading beyond the Olympic bubble. The more you say it will definitely be okay, the less the Japanese will trust, says this doctor. He told CBC that given the country's low vaccination rate, athletes and others should be vigilant about not catching COVID from the thousands of Japanese staff and volunteers working at the Games.
Competition officially gets underway Wednesday with softball and soccer games beginning. But officials have acknowledged that support for the Olympics in Japan is dwindling even further as the opening ceremony approaches. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Tokyo.
And be sure to stay with CBC for the opening ceremony on Friday, July 23rd, hosted by Adrian and Olympic Primetime's Scott Russell with special guest Mark Sakamoto. It all starts at 6:30 a.m. Eastern on CBC TV, CBC News Network, and CBC Gem. Also starting this Friday, be sure to watch The National at 9 Eastern on CBC News Network. And one last sporting note for now. Accusations of sexism are flying in a sport hoping to be included in future Olympic Games. After a recent match, the Norwegian women's beach handball team was fined €1,500 for wearing, quote, inappropriate clothing, athletic shorts, instead of the standard black bikini bottoms that the team calls too revealing and uncomfortable. They pointed out that male players are free to wear comfortable shorts. Another billionaire blasted off today on a suborbital space flight. This week, it's Jeff Bezos. The founder of Amazon and his all-civilian crew broke a few records with his Blue Origin rocket. But as Chris Reyes tells us, when he returned to Earth, he faced some harsh criticism.
2, 1.
From launch to landing, the wonder is hard to deny. A state-of-the-art rocket blasting 107 kilometers into the air, crossing the gateway into space known as the Kármán line. That distinction gives Jeff Bezos and his crew the historic badge of taking the first ever all-civilian suborbital flight.
My expectations were high and they were dramatically exceeded. Oh my God.
The race to space may be all about the billionaires.
Oh, I love it! I love it!
But the joy of flight clearly belongs to 82-year-old Wally Funk.
Oh, that's great!
That's her enjoying 4 minutes of weightlessness with Bezos, his brother, and the only paying customer on board the New Shepard, 19-year-old Oliver Damon. Funk was part of a group of female pilots who trained to be astronauts in the 60s, but were never sent to space.
I want to thank you, sweetheart, because you made it possible for me. I've been waiting a long time.
It wasn't all kisses for Bezos. Workers' rights advocates took to social media to mock the billionaire, angered by this comment.
I want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer, because you guys paid for all of this.
The other concern, space tourism's impact on the environment.
We need to understand the industry now, while it's still small in terms of environmental impacts. We could grow in a messy way that ends up causing problems down the line.
Problems or possibilities, hope or hubris. At the dawn of a new frontier, only future space flights will decide. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Well, as you saw, some are questioning the need for space tourism, especially as we face a climate crisis.
We're being sold a narrative that I don't necessarily think is so scientifically relevant.
Coming up, my conversation about the billionaire space race. Can we benefit, or are we just piling on the emissions? Plus, recovery on the trails.
When I was released from the hospital, that's really when I found my bike.
An Olympian's battle with anxiety, and a debut album, but no studio to record it in. One musician finds a clever solution. At least 12 people have died in central China as torrential rains continue to ravage parts of the region. In the past few days, tens of thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes. Officials say they've had to perform hundreds of rescues. A major subway system in one of the region's biggest cities was also flooded. Nearly 2 weeks after the assassination of Haiti's president, the country has a new prime minister. Sacha Petrusek has a look at the change and the challenges that lie ahead.
As they paid respect to their assassinated leader, former President Jovenel Moïse, today Haitians pronounced Ariel Henry the country's new prime minister after almost 2 weeks of competing claims to power. He's a neurosurgeon, named by Moïse as leader before his assassination, but challenged by others until yesterday. It will be a daunting job to bring order to a Haiti overrun by gangs, where kidnappings and street violence consume the country, where political institutions are paralyzed and society struggles to overcome poverty and a deepening pandemic. Squabbles among political parties, business groups, and NGOs over who should rule block progress.
He is going to be tasked with trying to keep this country stable, or at least not to fall deeper into instability. And right now, he's not really getting any support from his call for reconciliation or some sort of a dialogue.
Others say the international community has not helped with decades of meddling in Haiti's affairs. Just in the past 2 weeks, foreign capitals have flip-flopped over which leader to support. Ottawa also seemed unsure at first, with global affairs officials apparently backing different claims to power. It would be better, says Caribbean politics expert Kevin Edmonds, to let Haiti make its own decisions.
Let it evolve on its own, good, bad, or ugly. Let Haitians make the mistakes. Let Haitians own the processes and learn from it to go forward. Because what we keep seeing is when you have this intervention or playing kingmaker in Haiti, is that it ends badly.
A new election is set for September, but few believe that will happen given the current mess, or that it would bring prolonged stability. Sacha Petrusek, CBC News, Toronto.
India has recorded officially nearly 500,000 COVID deaths, but new research says there are likely millions more.
They simply are unrecorded, or their causes of death are not known.
Coming up, India's undocumented deaths and the surprising number of infections. Billionaires are now competing in space, but is that money well spent? I'll speak with two experts who feel very differently. Next. Here's another look at today's launch of Blue Origin's rocket with founder Jeff Bezos and 3 others aboard. Their voyage lasted just over 10 minutes and hit an altitude of about 106 kilometers, higher than Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic flight last week. A lot of money, a lot of energy, and some say a lot of ego. But is there a larger point, a greater good? And to discuss that, joining us now, Renee Logic, a professor of astrophysics at the University of Toronto, and Tim Fernholz, a senior reporter at Quartz and author of Rocket Billionaires, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and the new space race. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Tim, I'll begin with you because you had a front row seat this morning to the launch. What was that like?
It was quite a show, worth getting up at 2 a.m. for. Interesting to see the world's richest man hurl himself to the edge of space in a vehicle that he funded. It's an interesting technological concept. They tried out a business model for luxury tourism that could be a big deal going forward, and indulged in a lot of aerospace nostalgia and inspiration, whatever else you took from the 4 passengers on the New Shepard this morning. I think everybody enjoyed seeing Wally Funk, the 82-year-old American aviator, fly to space and become the oldest person to do that at 82. So that was pretty neat.
So, Renee, like the rest of us, presumably what you saw of this, you saw on your TV or your computer screen. And so the glitter aside, is there a scientific upside, do you think, to these missions?
So I think, that's a really good question. We know we are interested in exploring space. My concern is that really to understand space, we can do so with robots. We actually don't need people in space. And my worry is that our desire to go in space is really to put humans into space and potentially to build a lunar base or a Martian base. And I think that we're being sold a narrative that I don't necessarily think is so scientifically relevant.
You know, Tim, I put out a tweet earlier today asking people how they felt about this, and there was a lot of negative reaction, not just because people are going on this mission, but billionaires. How should we feel about this being a plaything for the rich?
I think it's a little overblown, frankly. I think what Jeff Bezos is doing is interesting in some ways, but it's something of a sideshow compared to what's actually going on with NASA, with companies like SpaceX that are flying to orbit, and with new satellite startups around the world when it comes to space exploration. For science, I will say when it comes to people, a lot of NASA scientists, a lot of university researchers are excited to fly experimental payloads on the New Shepard or on Virgin Galactic's rocket plane because it's somewhat cheaper than sending them to the International Space Station, and it's an easier way to get scientific payloads into microgravity quicker. But I think that, Renee makes a very good point that a lot of what is exciting about space exploration now is robotic, is utilizing new technology, miniaturization that allows more powerful computers to go into space. And it's important not to let sort of ideologies of what we expect from space exploration get in the way of the results that we need.
Renee, I'm curious. I mean, it sounds to me like Tim is pretty excited about what happened today, especially getting to see it firsthand. Was any of what happened today exciting to you, Renee?
So I felt my emotions were a little bit tempered today because I kind of felt like, these billionaires need to read the room. I think this has been a really tough 18 months for many people. And if you look at some of the, factory workers that are in these Amazon factories that have had a really tough time, my sense is that, billionaires spending additional money that they're getting from not being taxed on space missions kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I think that's what people are responding to today.
And I do want to talk about the carbon footprint. It was kind of hard to get precise data on this, but Renee, you helped us come up with a comparison that one rocket launch burns per passenger about 100 times as much fuel than a long-haul plane ride. So how do you feel about, Renee, that equation?
Yeah, so that's definitely worrying. And also what to consider is that the type of fuel that's being burned is also very different. So a lot of the space shuttle launches that are launched by NASA, for example, are burning hydrogen fuel, which is it's sort of a zero emission fuel, as opposed to the fuels that are being burned by SpaceX and in today's mission, which, are adding pollutants to the air. So
I do have to interrupt here. The New Shepard uses a hydrogen and liquid oxygen fuel, so it doesn't burn kerosene and produce carbon emissions like the SpaceX rockets that you mentioned.
Right. So my point is that it's setting a trend that, if we, fair enough, the New Shepherd is trying to be more zero emissions. But I feel like if we just leave a lot of this into the hands of billionaires, eventually it's going to be a cost-cutting endeavor. And therefore, we won't actually be paying as much attention to the environment as we should be.
And Tim, did you want to say more about the carbon part of this?
Well, I would just say that the vast majority of orbital rockets being launched today are being launched at the behest of the government by scientific agencies. So when NASA is launching, satellites that track climate, track carbon emissions, track the impact of climate change, that's going to go up on a rocket that contributes to that. I think most climate scientists would say that major human transportation systems, cars, airliners, as you mentioned, container ships at sea are a bigger problem in terms of that level of emissions. But I think we do have to be wise going to the future and avoid the unanticipated consequences, because what is undeniably true is we are launching more rockets now than we have in recent years, and that number is only going to go up. And so starting to think about what needs to be done to mitigate the effects of those emissions makes a lot of sense.
We have just 30 seconds left. Renee, perhaps last question to you. I know it happened only hours ago, but how do you think history will remember this day?
I think history will remember this day as the beginning of, more aggressive competition between billionaires to dominate the sky, which is something I'm not particularly excited about.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, it's really nice hearing each of your perspectives. Renee and Tim, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely to be.
And here's another innovation, this time by a Canadian doctor that's dealing with the COVID challenges on the ground.
When you think about it, it is kind of surprising, and we didn't think about it before.
Coming up, a seemingly simple solution to prevent injuries to both patients and healthcare workers. Stay with us. India's crushing wave of COVID-19 has made headlines around the world, but per capita, it has a lower death rate from the disease than most countries, including Canada. That is if you go by the official numbers. But as Judy Trin explains, a new study suggests deaths have been dramatically undercounted.
After her father died from a sudden heart attack, Varunda Bhatt left Toronto for India in May.
I saw his dead body over a video call the next day.
When she went to the river to scatter her father's ashes, the full impact of the pandemic hit her. Crowds of people doing the same as she was.
I was not in the best state of my mind, but I remember constant honking of people, and there was a family who was performing the ritual ahead of us, and there was a family who was waiting for us to finish.
Officially, India puts its COVID death toll at 414,000, but a new study by economists at the Center for Global Development estimates 4 million more people could have died during the pandemic. The study looks at all deaths.
So basically, it could either be because of COVID, but also, for example, there was a strict lockdown, so maybe the health infrastructure suffered because of that. People didn't really get basic care that they needed to. So it could be because of that.
In May, during the height of the pandemic, hospitals were turning away the sick and ran out of oxygen. Bodies were cremated in the streets. There were vaccine shortages. Canadian researchers say there's no doubt that India is undercounting.
So they simply are unrecorded, or their causes of death are not known. The other reason is, in terms of monitoring the pandemic, governments have, including state-level governments, but federal governments, have been very reticent because they think this is going to alarm the public.
The Indian government found that 2/3 of its population has COVID-19 antibodies, an indicator of just how widespread infections are. But hundreds of millions of people are still at risk. And without precise numbers, health experts say the government won't be ready for what's to come. Another wave. Judy Trin, CBC News, Washington.
A second sailor from HMCS Halifax has tested positive for COVID. The first case was confirmed Monday after the ship returned from a 6-month deployment. It's believed the two sailors caught the virus while on shore leave on the way home.
Our best bet is that based on the timing, that they both contracted COVID during the last port visit when the ship's company was allowed to go ashore in Iceland. We deemed that it was safe to go ashore in Iceland But that notwithstanding, there are some cases there.
Those 2 sailors will now need to isolate on base for 2 weeks. The rest of the crew will isolate for 1 week, but they can do that with their families. Small outbreaks aside, Canada's vaccination rate has helped bring case counts way down. But for all of their protection, vaccines, of course, don't treat the virus. For critically ill patients in hospital, one of the most effective treatments is surprisingly low-tech, proning, literally turning a patient onto their stomach. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Earlier this summer, Tom Murphy showed us how that challenge turned one Halifax doctor into an inventor.
It is a medical maneuver that can save lives, so-called proning patients. Flipping them on their stomachs can improve oxygen flow to their lungs and reduce mortality by 50%. But actually doing it is not easy. Proning patients can take more than 45 minutes and as many as 8 staff to manage tubes and oxygen lines and safely prepare the patient. And then there's the heavy, often injury-inducing lift. It's bed sheets and brawn, and all too often, bad backs. Just ask a nurse like Eleanor Kelly.
Young nurses say your back is sore. We've had people off on back injuries. I have friends who have retired that they have degenerative disc disease now because of the lifting.
Imagine your 300-pound friend is on the picnic table and will not help you move, and you have to do it. If you want to understand what our nurses have to do every day, imagine that challenge.
And for that very reason, intensive care physician Stephen Bede wonders if proning patients isn't done as often as maybe it should be.
But there's been large studies that show that it was only used in between 15 and 35% of the people that it would be appropriate for. It is a demanding but important intervention that's done relatively infrequently. It has to be partly because it's just hard, and that's what got me thinking.
And before long, a little homegrown COVID innovation kicked in. After years at the bedside, Dr. Bede had a concept in his head for a device to make proning easier, but he needed an engineer to begin to make it a reality. There were months of marking and measuring, pitfalls and prototypes, and it became a team effort.
I didn't know anybody that knew how to make things like this. But an old friend worked in canvas, works with the Coast Guard and the military, and he had commercial sewing machines.
Nurses gave their input, how to make the device comfortable for the patient. It had to be cleanable and allow access to the front and back of the patient. And in the end, with the help of some designers and engineers in Montreal, this is what they ended up with.
Extremely strong Velcro, and basically it is a 2-piece blanket that attaches so that you end up with a method to open the back as well as the front.
Think burrito with Velcro straps. Yeah, it's not sexy, but it works. Remember the way nurses prone a patient now, the almost hour it takes to do it? Well, this new device, already on the bed when the patient arrives, hooks up to a hospital mechanical lift, which up until now could only hoist a patient up and down. It requires a fraction of the staff, and get this, only about 8 minutes to gently roll the patient over to the prone position or back again, and no nurses lifting.
My vision is that we will get to a point where nurses never lift again. That's what we need to do. We're using this to support our nursing colleagues through the COVID crisis, but they have a difficult job day to day, and we need to find a way to enable them to move patients but not injure themselves.
Oh, that would be a great world. I think it's possible. Like, when you think about it, it is kind of surprising, and we didn't think about it before.
Dr. Bede has a patent on his invention, a one-of-a-kind, he believes, and the device is now in clinical trials at Halifax's QE2 hospital, where you couldn't fault occupational health and safety lead Angela Keenan if she cringed every time a nurse lifted a patient.
It's the driver of our not only injury rates within the organization, but actually it's the #1 driver for our time loss claims as well for the organization. Game changer. Yeah, it's an innovative idea that's come from the front lines, from the experience of a frontline worker.
The front lines in the battle against COVID that might also help cure what has long ailed the healthcare system. Tom Murphy, CBC News, Halifax.
We're just days away from the official opening of the Olympic Games, and for some athletes, the journey has been bumpy.
It was not a bike ride unless I came home covered in bruises and bleeding from somewhere.
Coming up, one athlete's grit and determination to make it to the Olympic Games. Stay with us. Welcome back. Our colleagues at CBC Sports have covered many athletes over many Olympic journeys. But tracking Team Canada's challenges through COVID has been a sport in itself. As the opening ceremony draws closer, we're sharing profiles of Canadian athletes who pushed through to represent our country. Tonight, soft-spoken but fiercely determined mountain biker Hailey Smith.
I will never be able to run away from the fact that I had an eating disorder when I was 14 years old. This sport has taught me how to confront and manage these issues. I started riding when I was around 15 years old, and I really picked it up at a sort of a turning point in my life. When I was a little bit younger, when I was 13, 14, I was diagnosed with anorexia, and I was hospitalized for a few months. And when I was released from the hospital, that's really when I found my bike. It was sort of a healing journey for me from a mental illness, but also it was a love affair in its own right. Cycling is meditation in motion. Riding allows you to quiet everything else in your life and in your head. It's a sport where you just get to go out by yourself and just turn the pedals over. And in that act, you kind of find peace. I was so bad when I started mountain biking. It was not a bike ride unless I came home covered in bruises and bleeding from somewhere.
How did it feel on Green Ribbon? When I first met Hailey, out of about 30 riders, Hailey was actually the worst one. And over the last 6 or 7 years, she's progressed to being one of the best. Hailey's one of the hardest workers that you'll find in any sport, amongst all the high-performance athletes I've ever worked with. I think she's earned the right to feel optimistic about her future in the sport.
I do still experience a lot of anxiety, but because of my bike, I now know how to handle it. If you told 14-year-old Hailey that she might get to wear the maple leaf at an Olympics someday, she would not have believed you.
And you can catch Hailey in action next Tuesday at 2 a.m. Eastern in the Olympic bike race. And be sure to follow all the Olympic events on CBC Television and CBC Gem. It starts tomorrow with softball. Up next, an album to record, but no studio in sight. This Northern musician's inventive solution is next in our moment. Before the pandemic hit, Adrian Sutherland had a long list of projects, including recording his debut album. But then he found himself without a recording studio, and so he had to get a little creative. Tonight, his solution is our moment.
It all started when the pandemic hit. We had to record an album this past year. The shipping container I had on the property now for almost 2 years. So we took half of the sea container I have here and decided to turn part of it into a recording studio. We got started on it. I had a couple of guys help me with the framing. We put in all the insulation, the poly. Up here, I think you have to be jack of all trades. It worked out really great. It's got a nice little natural reverb to it. We recorded guitars in here, acoustic guitar and vocals for my debut solo album. We've just been calling it CCAN Studio. So I'm like, why don't we just use that? I mean, it's a CCAN and it's a studio. I'm really happy about it because I have this beautiful space where I can come and create. I think it's just been a dream of mine for a long time. It's so cool.
It is so cool, but he makes it look maybe a little bit too easy. Of course, in the north, everything had to be shipped in, the lumber, like every part of the construction process. You can't just go down to the local hardware store and pick it up. Also, he's a pretty handy guy. He built his own house, so he used those skills to create that studio. But I guess part of it, and musicians can sort of tweet me and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in the old days you had to go to a studio, often very far away. That's what he thought too, but more and more people are recording in their basement or even a shipping container on their yard. That is the National for July the 20th. Good night.